members of the federal. With me, joining me, we have activist Muralidharan joining us to give us more perspective on the Supreme Court's order for the removal of all stray dogs from Delhi NCR streets. We're happy to have you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
I'd like to start by asking, why do you think such a drastic measure has been taken by the Supreme Court?
A drastic measure because it's a topic which was neglected for many years, and there was a case in the Supreme Court which lasted almost 15, 16 years, 2009 to 2024, 14 years. And end of it, Supreme Court said, basically, all these animal activists, they have a huge lobby, the foreign-funded lobby. They were trying to push the idea of keeping dogs in the street and doing sterilization, vaccination, etc., which was earning them money. So each dog had something like 6,000 on its head. So they were making close to there are 6 crore dogs in India. So we are talking about something like 3,600 crores or 36,000 crores is the kind of money they were generating from these dogs. So they had this vested interest. They wanted to keep the dogs in the streets. And we said, no, dog is a pet animal. It has to be at home. It cannot be just thrown out on the streets. Throwing a dog on the streets is equal to throwing a kid on the streets. They should not be there, and they will subject to extreme cruelty. And they talk about the 5 freedoms for animals. They say food and clean water, which is not there for them. They dig the garbage, drink from sewage, and but no bodily injuries. No, they get run down by vehicles every day, and they get pelted by stones from people. People throw acid and hot water at them. Then there is no there shouldn't be any infections, diseases, etc., which is not the case. They have all kind of disease, including rabies, which is a brother killer disease. And last is not the least, they should have comfort in living, which means during extreme climate they need a shelter, which they don't have. So when you fulfill all these 4 freedoms, they will behave normally. That's the 5th freedom. So whereas they don't have this first 4 freedom. So the street dogs cannot behave normally. What had happened over the period because you birth control them and you dump them in the street and you just keep feeding them, the behavior changed and they became lazy and they had to shed their energy. They started chasing bikes, etc. They started picking up small kids. They went back to their original ancestors, like the wolf. Okay, they started hunting in packs. One dog pulls a small baby on the street. Rest of them will join in, and within 2 minutes they'll tear the baby into pieces. So this is what was happening. So this is not what dogs should go through. Hence, what we did, we went to court and we were fighting these cases from 2009 onwards. And 2024, the Supreme Court understood what's that we are trying to convey, and what do you call that cases. I mean, there was a sabotage, basically a set of rules, which are the birth control rules. They had projected them as laws, and that was pushed into all the states by courts, by senior councils who are like funded by the animal rights cabal. So they had to decimate that. So we worked on all that. So Supreme Court said, go back to your regional courts. We don't want to decide on this because they were like, once bitten, twice shy with Jallikattu issue and Sabrimala, where they took a decision and that misfired and people didn't like it. And people came to the streets and there were ordinance and the whole thing got changed. So similarly, they didn't want anything to happen in trade houses. Trade houses is a sensitive issue. There are so many kids, so many people are dying. Kids from very poor families. It's not from the people like who have a sedan, who drive around a sedan in the night and they don't see a dog, they don't get chased by a dog. But people who go to cycles and they walk, they're the ones who get harmed. So these people, the whole this litigation they understood, and they said go to the High Court. So the first High Court to give a verdict was Delhi High Court said remove all the dogs, put them in shelter. Immediately, the animal rights cabal got into the case and tried to hijack the case. And that's when Supreme Court came for its rescue. And Supreme Court said, no more NGOs. We're not going to listen to anybody. We're going to give some orders. We need to follow them. Remove all the dogs from the streets. Put them in shelters. No dog will be released back in the streets after sterilization or whatever. if somebody, any individual or an organization comes and obstructs, especially normally Maneka Gandhi's gang comes into rescue of all this. It's a foreign funded cabal, the Maneka Gandhi's gang, and they have a lot of vested interest. And that gang keeps, all the propaganda, they keep doing it. So they said, keep them away. If they interfere, we will hold them in contempt of court. So these are beautiful things. And it's not the Supreme Court which said this, it's also the High Court of Rajasthan that used the exact words. Today I'm coming from Madurai High Court, the Lordship S.M. Subramaniam and Lordship Arun Murugan. They told us the same thing. They said, we are going to duplicate the Supreme Court order. Supreme Court order was restricted to Delhi and NCR region. But these judges said, no, we're going to extend it to whole of Tamil Nadu. And they already ordered the Tamil Nadu government to remove the dogs and put them in shelters. They're not
Now,
signed the order. It's pending because the Supreme Court order is not come. Once they see it, then they'll sign the order.
yes, sir. Now that we're talking about the involvements across India, how feasible is the relocation as well as the sheltering of these dogs, along with the amenities? Like you said, dogs and animals require comfort. They are man's best friend, and they require basic needs to be met instead of being brought into the fold. What can these governments do in order to sort of make it more financially viable for themselves in order to ensure that these dogs
Yeah,
actually have a fulfilled life?
this is not a business to make it financially viable. This is not a business. This is a service. Such service to use, like for example, your bus transport. The government will do it in a subsidized rate so that the people benefit. Okay. Now, Wanderloo Zoo did not go bankrupt during the pandemic. Same time, the Crocodile Bank went bankrupt because Wanderloo Zoo is run by government. The Crocodile Bank was run by a private agency. So government knows how to manage them. Only government should take care of all this. Somebody coming and throwing a spanner at us saying that so much of expenses. Who will take care? Now, don't get me wrong. There is also a provision to uh, humanly destroy any animal which is in excess. Now, this is the law. This is the Constitution of India. It gives you the right to the civic bodies and to the government to destroy animals. Now, they may not say, we're not supposed to do everything large scale, blindly go and kill all of them. But the sick, old, okay, the animals which don't have quality of life, they can be euthanized to start with. Because tell you something, PETA in the US, when they started in Norfolk, Virginia, their main job is to run kill shelters. They will pick up stray animals, they'll put them up for adoption for a week or two. If nobody adopts them, they will kill them. So this is what they've been doing. So it's the same thing in India also. It's only that, after 1995, the Maneka Gandhi gang got into it and said, no, you have to know birth control. But what they fail to understand is you need so many veterinary doctors to used to do birth control for these dogs. If they are done the birth control sincerely in 1995 to even till 2000, we wouldn't have had a single dog on the street. They did not because corruption kept in. Where that's where the money came in, and it became a business. It's like redoing the road every year. It's like cleaning mosquitoes, addressing mosquito problems. These are recurring expenses. They make money out of this government. So it's corruption. So that's where the problem is.
Now you've talked about the corrupt aspect of it, as well as people making, taking care of stray dogs, or rather the idea that stray dogs should stay on the street as a money maker thought process or a perspective of that. But what about the people that have community dogs, have taken care of dogs for several years in their own streets, make sure that they are taken care of? How do you think
Let,
the
let, let me
government?
let me let me correct you with that community statement. There is nothing called community animals in the whole world. It is not in any dictionary. This community animal was coined by Maneka Gandhi so that she can push you to keep animals. Now she enacted these animal birth control rules. You take the 2023 rule. Rule number 20 says the responsibility of the resident welfare associations to give designated feeding spots to feed these animals. Now, you can't say your Parent Act, the animal birth control rules were written based on the Parent Act, which is Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act. In Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act, Section 13B2, okay, Section 13.2b says summarily destroy vermin or any stray dog menace. And 9F says it's the duty of the Animal Welfare Board of India to do that. Now, when the Parent Act says that, your subordinate legislation, which is your ABC rules, cannot say you have to feed dogs. Now, recently, 22nd July, in the Parliament, was clarified by the Animal Husbandry Ministry. There's a question asked: can you impose a fine or penalize resident welfare association colonies who are not giving space to community animals to feed? They said you can't punish them because this ABC rule is not punishable. You can't use it to punish them, and it's also not enforceable because it's ultra virus. When we say ultra virus, it contradicts the Parent Act. It's as good as, I'm sorry to say, it's toilet paper. So she, Menaka Gandhi, and there's also rule number 16, where if a dog bites you, okay, and you call the corporation to remove the dog, they will take the dog and then inspect for 2 weeks. If it doesn't have rabies, they'll put it back so that the dog continue biting you or the dog continues to kill somebody. Now, this is an issue. When the dog bites, it's a civic issue. It's a healthcare issue. When the dog kills somebody, it's a law and order issue. Police and civic bodies should get hold of that. But instead, they nominated NGOs to do that. That's how bizarre is that? So that's where the point is. The entire rules fell flat because we knew about this. When we read the 2023 ABC rules, we knew she's got a foot in her mouth and she's going to die because of this rule, because it is absolutely rubbish. Okay, because it was contradicting the parent rule, and it's also an overreach, I say, because when you take healthcare per se, healthcare is dog bites, okay, and hygiene is dogs defecating all around and the urination. They spread close to 20 diseases, the defecation and urination. So these two are healthcare and hygiene. And next is controlling contagious diseases. Now, when you talk about rabies, it's a contagious disease. And that controlling of the contagious disease is the job of the animal husbandry. These are part of state list. They are not in the central list, which means the state government supposed to enact rules. Where what she did, she enacted rules from the central government to the AWBI and tried to push it to all governments. So it's ultra virus, as we call in law. So this is thrown out of the court. The Supreme Court also yesterday did not even bother to listen to all this. But if the word you brought out, community animals feeding, etc., Supreme Court said, see, they didn't even give any respect to this set of rules, which she used to claim is the law. The law is BNS 270, 71, 72, and 291 says anything in public space, whether feeding or even you do good, you care for somebody, doesn't matter, but it's public nuisance. Then your contagious, control of contagious infectious diseases, section 13 and 25 says uh, a dog with an infection cannot be in the open. It has to be taken out and euthanized commonly. And third is your people with disabilities. There's an act called 2006 that says if it's a person, because it's an autistic child or a cripple, okay, or somebody with cerebral palsy. These kind of people need barrier-free access. That means there can't be any hindrance on the road, which will cripple their free movement. So these are laws. So three I told you. Then you take the Tamil Nadu, Chennai's Municipality Act, which is called the Urban Local Bodies Act 1998. Section 107 of 2 says remove the dogs. Remove the dogs and pigs which are in. Then comes your Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act, which the entire Animal Welfare Board of India speaks about. So prevention of cruelty to animals act, already I told you, 11.3b and 9f says remove the dog. So the law says to remove. You've sort of got a set of rules which you try to push through everybody's throat. I don't know whether you heard about that incident in Iran and Dani. Okay, just a few last week it is in my Twitter page also. It went viral. 5 lakh people saw it and all that. Now there's a girl who had 6 girls and a calf in the 10th floor of Hiranandani. Now that's subjecting animals to cruelty, but they were trying to take shield under the ABC rules, saying that no, you can't. The Resident Welfare Association should respect and allow that. That cannot be because 6 dogs can howl in the night, and the calf there, if the calf keep defecating, then defecate all. These are unhygienic environment and not in the residential complex. So these are things which like went against them. They went overboard. See, you could have been very subtle. You could have had 1 or 2 dogs, in a street. I'll tell you about Kotur Garden where I stay. A few years ago, we had only 3 dogs in 3 streets. One dog. Today we have 30 dogs because there are 2 ladies who competing with each other in feeding. So what happens? Anybody wants to relocate the dog, they come and dump the dog there. Or the corporation knows somebody is feeding here, they come and dump it. So there are 30 dogs. and they started mauling. Some of them got into a fight and started killing other dogs. Okay, so they caught the leader of the pack and put him inside some house. But tomorrow, if a small kid gets caught, what will happen? So these are the
Mm.
problems. These are the points. This is what This is what, and also some 1 millionaire lost his life to rabies few days ago, right? Some TT owner or something, and he's worth 2,000 crores, and that's his empire. And what will happen to such an organization without a head? And so many small children, they lost their child life. You know, like when a dog bites an elderly, grown-up person, they will bite your legs or thighs. In a small dog, if you go, say, go to your face. Now, when a dog bites your face is close to your brain. The virus travels, if it's rabies, travels to your brain faster than your vaccination. The vaccination has to produce antibodies, then fight. It will take a couple of days. Before that, the patient will die. Now, if you want to save that patient, still, you have to inject him with immunoglobulin injection, which will cost you 30,000 rupees in a private institute, and government is free, but there's no guarantee it is refrigerated under correct temperature. So it may not work also. So that kind of 30,000 plus immunoglobulin or 2,000 vaccination, which poor family can afford. Poor families cannot afford this. Now these are problems. These are ground level problems. Like Menaka Gandhi is staying in high pedestal. She lives in Akbar Road, that's a Lutyens Delhi, and she has a limousine. Ask her to get down, come to go to Pallavaram, where there's no lights. In the night, ask her to get down from the train and bus, walk home. I have a friend who calls me and says, Murli, every night I take a stick when I get off from the train. I have a student stick. I take the stick and I start singing loudly and walk to my house because I'm so paranoid because otherwise the dogs will come and maul me. This is prevalent across India. Very prevalent across India. That's the drastic measure that's people.
So this is also a symptom of human-animal conflict. Again, like you said, overpopulation of dogs, as well as the dumping of dogs that has been happening, particularly. Are there any ways, according to you, because you've had years of experience in this, to mitigate such level of conflict, particularly aggression of dogs towards people? What other public awareness that people can do or the public can engage in order to gain a better understanding?
Say, it's a country of 140 crore people. Disciplining them is difficult. Okay, even disciplining, that's one thing. And second is uh, mitigation when we say how to avoid this conflict of system. See, the problem started when Facebook became famous. People started rescuing dogs. Till such time it was not heard of. See, a litter in a dog probably a litter of 10. According to nature, after getting killed in the field with diseases and vehicles, only one or two will survive. What these rescuers did, they went and picked up all the 10 puppies. They said, mother is no more. The mother would have probably gone to find some food. Okay. So these guys picked up all the 10, brought them up, okay, either in their house or some foster home. Then they gave it for adoption. Initially, the puppies will look cute. Anybody will adopt them. The puppy will go to a house and they'll start growing. The neighbor will say, what is this, sir? தமிழ்ல சொன்னா என்ன சார் திருநாய் வளர்க்குறீங்க? That is the day Sunny will fly onto that small dog. After very soon, that dog will get dumped on the street, either for some reason, saying that it's a street dog, or they will say there's some baby in the house, or somebody is having asthma, or the tenant is not able to get a apartment on rent because the owners don't like dogs. So the dog will get dumped. So like that, many dogs are abandoned. It's not the owner who abandoned. It's rescuing these animal activists dump these dogs onto people. And when they didn't have a choice, they dump them back on the street. That's how the entire multiplication started. So right from beginning, now it's too late. Right from beginning, if the government would have taken charge, saying that any stray animal, we will take them to a farm, put them up for adoption. Nobody takes it, we will euthanize them. And euthanize is a very strong word. Earlier it's called mercy killing. Then it became euthanasia. Now we use PTS, put to sleep. The reason we say PTS is first we sedate the dog. This dog become unconscious. Then we give the second injection to stop the heart. Okay, the dog does not even feel. So that's why we call it put to sleep. So euthanasia is just a better. Instead of the dog being in the street, getting pelted by stones, run over by vehicles, without food, drinking sewage water, sticking the garbage bin, and extreme climate like cyclones, they don't know where to go, etc. And they get thrown with acid and hot water. They're better to be, better not being there. So euthanasia or putting to sleep It's not a cruel thing. It's an ethical medical practice in the veterinary world. Not with humans. In the veterinary world, it is a ethical medical practice. If they go to any doctor and say the dog has become old and sick and he's like, 15, 16 years, a good doctor will tell you, put him to sleep. A doctor who wants to milk you, make some money out of you, say, no, 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 we'll try. But a good doctor says, if he had a good life with you, 15 years, it's good for a dog, put him to sleep. So that's how we can look at it. You have to be ethical, as I said right from the beginning. Animal welfare should be from the head, not from the heart. From the heart, what will happen is, it happens is many youngsters in Tamil Nadu, across India, they started picking up one puppy. You know how many youngsters have lost their life today? Holding close to 20 to 200 dogs, or 1 to 50 cats, etc. They don't have proper income. They depend on donations, etc. If tomorrow if they go bankrupt, what will happen to those lives? It has happened recently also. Now also there's some gentleman who has been running a shelter. He's got 200 dogs and some 50 cats. He doesn't have a job. What will he do now? Next, the state animal welfare board has to go take over and give to other shelters. The other shelters are also one-man show. Like a girl or a boy or an old lady is looking after. Something happens to them, what will happen to the animal? So this the whole thing cannot be mitigated overnight. It should have been done some 20 years ago, which they didn't do. This is what Maneka Gandhi and the Blue Cross owner Chinni Krishna kind of these veterans should have done. They did not. They were happy, they're making money, etc. with these dogs and animals. They were all chilled out. Now when there's a problem, nobody wants to come and speak about it. A lot many people are dying of rabies. In Chennai alone, 1 out of 50 dogs have rabies. Now that's a serious issue. This is not from my data. This is from an NGO in one premier NGO in Chennai who's doing birth control in the corporation town. They have given this data. 1 out of 50 dogs have rabies. So imagine that one dog bites 10 people. They all will die if they don't know it's rabies. That's the problem.
Hmm. Yes, also Tamil Nadu is known for having the highest number of dog bites, rabies death cases as
Across
well.
across India, across
Across
India. In fact,
across India.
Tamil Nadu is around 8 lakh, UP is 12 lakh, but UP population is 23 crores. We are only 8 crores,
Hmm.
one third of the population. So compared to that, then we are number one.
Hmm.
And we can't
So,
afford to. See, we are the intellectually and development wise, we are number one state almost. Okay, some places we have overtaken Maharashtra also. When that's the case, then we need to be more progressive, attract more foreign investment. The foreigners would love to see us. See, the foreigners are really paranoid of dogs. The Westerners and the Europeans and your Americans, they are not seeing dogs in their country. They're so paranoid in schools and the streets and streets see a dog. And if you remove them, make it much more hygienic, you'll have more foreign investment coming in. So you want to see you're a progress state and you have dogs all around freely roaming around and cattle roaming around. And that's detrimental to the cause.
hmm. All right. Now we're talking about hygiene as well as public hygiene, public safety when it comes to dogs. Now, with the Supreme Court's order that these dogs need to be placed in shelters, the what will the state of the shelters be? Right, is also a question. Considering that, like as you said, if the dogs are placed in an open space or an open area, they may be susceptible to passing diseases to each other as well. And what could also be a guarantee that some dogs could also be screened for rabies and so on and so forth in order to ensure that the infection doesn't transfer onto other dogs. What would you think would be a good alternative, or rather a good way to go about this?
See, you're not holding cattle here. This is not cattle. Cattle, you keep them in one place. You can still milk them. You can get some manure out of them, etc. You can use dogs. There's no use, unfortunately, whether you like it or not. Dogs, they'll get into one place. They get into pack fights. They get into howling. It's going to be a nuisance. Okay. After some time, some people who caretakers will get bitten, etc. If you ask me, the animal activists should play a role there. They should go and take care of these animals because they love to have dogs, right? So let them go and take care of it. Even if they can't do it, I'm sure they can't because after something they'll also get fed up. How to handle these dogs every day. It's not easy to go to a shelter every day and clean all the leftovers and litter. It's a painful job. It's a nasty job. And not everybody can do it. And how long will you do it? So end of it, you will evolve just like a Western country towards CPS, putting to sleep. Okay, right now it may not be because we are evolving. After so much of disaster, they said we come to a conclusion saying that yes, we need to remove the dog. Next step is what? Next step is how to find a closure. No, we still open it. Okay, we have moved the problem from one place to another. What do
Hmm.
we do in the other place? So that's what we need to work on. So it's going to
Yes.
take time. For me, if you ask me, removing the dog has to be in a phased manner. Okay, first we pick up only the aggressive dogs, bite, etc. Put them. Old and sick dogs, take them also. Old and sick dogs doesn't have quality of life, put them to sleep. Rest of the dogs, too aggressive, cannot be managed, cannot be controlled, put them to sleep. Doesn't matter. Rest of them you keep there. As long as they're there. Puppies and all, I think they have no future. Puppies. Okay. You put them to sleep. You don't have a choice. When they grow up, they're going to have more trouble. So the reasonably okay, soft, docile dogs, you keep them. Others you put to sleep. This is how you face in a phased manner. You do. You make a plan for 3 years, not immediately. Slowly by third year, you should be. Hey, India also has a mandate to the WHO and the UNESCO. In 2030, we'll be rabies free. So unless you do this, so we are in 2025, we got 5 years to do it. So unless you do this now, you cannot be rabies free by 2030. So this is the way to go. And by 2018, we should not have any dogs in the street, not a single dog. And 2030, it will be rabies free. Otherwise, you can't achieve this goal.
When it comes to Tamil Nadu as a state, will the do you think the rollout will be possible because of the large population of dogs that we have compared to Delhi NCR?
No, see, across India we have 6 crore dogs. So according to that estimate, we should get 8% is our size of our population. Let's say we should have at least 48 lakh dogs. Okay, but I don't think we have 48 lakh. It's still lower than that. So I think we need to start somewhere. Let's make a plan. As I said, we can't do it overnight. Overnight is impossible. When the government is building some 70 shelters, immediately those shelters may not be ready. So what do? They already rolled out something called the Vallalar program. They started funding these shelters. Already we given huge money to most of the shelters. We need to tell these shelters, please take in 50 dogs, 100 dogs per shelter. Those aggressive dogs to start with and keep funding them because they kept increasing that fund from 20 crores to 30 crores, 50 crores. So they need to do that. And over a period, they'll be able to succeed. So this is the way to go. So Tamil Nadu is possible. It's not that it's not possible, but you need a will. You need to will get down and do it. And that's with the government. So if they're going to be hanky-panky and corrupt, and the cruelty will continue. But don't worry about cruelty because we are here for that. And that's our job. We have to ensure wherever the animal is, whether it's in a house, or it's in a temple, or it's in a you know zoo, wherever, it should be cruelty free, or it's in the wild also. So we will fight for that. So that's our job. So we are there for that. But you do the rest and ensure there's no cruelty inflicted upon them.
Thank you so much, sir.
Welcome.
It was wonderful talking to you, and thank you to all our viewers. If you have your perspectives, please share them in the comments and subscribe. Click the notification bell.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.